instrumentation student on our team, and
Cool. Awesome. Well, glad to have you guys on the show. It's good to talk with you about your robot and all the awesome stuff you're doing. So we're going to get to the animation stuff, I think, in a little bit. But first, I kind of want to talk about the robot because we just saw that on the video. So let's first talk about your gear prototype. So it looked like you had a robot driving around. We'll get to that. So maybe we should talk about the assembly first. It looks like it's been basically building your robot this past week. Is that about right?
yeah, so basically we've started out building our practice robot. And so we cut all the parts, both for our practice robot and our competition robot, but we build our practice robot first. And so the pictures that you saw at the end of the video, that was our completed drive base for our practice robot. And then it also had a little piece on there that's for the shooter. And so we
Okay.
completed that. Yep.
Nice. So did we see the practice robot driving around as well, or is that last year's robot that you guys modified?
Yeah, that was Party Stalker.
Oh, that was Party Stalker. Okay, cool.
So driving around with the gear on it. So yeah, we've been using that to test the prototypes. We don't have the practice robot in driving mode yet.
Okay, cool. So I'm not terribly familiar with a lot of the tools necessarily you were using to put your robot together because it looked like there was a lot of these weird looking rivets coming out of it and a lot of brackets and stuff. Can you sort of give me the skinny on how Apex builds robots and how they all come together?
Yeah, so we use a lot of the Versa frame, the 2x1 box tubing. And so basically that's really helpful for us because it has holes that are all spaced out equally in the box tubing. So we cut everything based on those holes, and then we're able to just put brackets and rivets right in those holes, and it goes together really nicely if you cut it right. And then, so yeah, we use a lot of rivets and also a lot of bolts for strength, and a lot of the box tubing is how we build our structure. It's also really light and really versatile to use.
Okay, cool. So there's not a lot. You don't weld the frame,
No.
and you're not a lot of these parts you're cutting sort of in your own shop without the use of a mill or a lathe. Is that right?
Most of the parts. We got quite a bit of help from sponsors. C4 Labs down in Tacoma, they cut a couple of our, for instance, like shooter plates and stuff like that for gearboxes, stuff that we kind of needed extra support for, that those plates help give. And so those had to be machined.
Okay, cool. So what about, we saw that there's a huge sheet of these brackets. Were those part of the ones that C4 made, and what are they the shooter plates or the other parts?
So those are they talking about the red brackets?
So like the parts that cut.
Oh yeah, so some of the stuff is cut by C4. Some of it is just stock brackets.
Okay.
But the stuff that was beefy looking and looked like it was cut by a CNC was cut by C4 Labs.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely varies. We kind of mix and match depending on what we need.
Yeah, and we went down to their shop. They've been really amazing, and they trained a couple of our mentors to be able to just go down there and use the tools whenever they want. So
Wow.
we don't need them there. So I wasn't there, but a couple of our students and the mentors stayed there till about midnight the other night, cutting all those brackets.
That's awesome. That's a great sponsor to be able to do that. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, it's been
Cool.
amazing.
So the other thing I kind of want to talk about that, and this is really just because I'm really curious. So there are these really, really big looking like rivets that were in the frame when you guys were using your air powered gun to put all the pop rivets in. What are those?
So mostly those are for putting our drivetrain together. We made it so that all the outside of the bumper frame has countersunk rivets, and so they all sat nicely on the frame so that we can get the bumper flat and properly secured.
Are you talking about the clamps that we have?
Maybe they were big and like brownish, like really,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. So those are clamps that we use to hold it together, just
Oh.
temporarily. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So are they
Oh,
clamps that go into the holes in the
Cleco
frame?
clamps.
Yeah, Cleco clamps.
Got it.
So those the big colored things. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got you now. But the Cleco clips, basically they're temporary rivets. So we can put them in, and then we can put like most of it together to see if it fits and see how it fits together.
Yep.
And then once we like it, then we take them out and put real rivets in.
I see. All right, cool. So let's talk about that gear prototype. We saw a little bit on Party Stalker. It looks like it's holding a gear. It looked like we had some manual action to deliver it. Tell us the story behind that.
Yeah, so that prototype started back when we were doing our prototype stage, and we've kind of retrofitted onto Party Stalker, and we're trying to go for, of course, as low profile as possible because of the size limitations of this game. So, I mean, I wasn't personally on the team for the gear. I think, yeah, she knows more than I do, but yeah, we've kind of gone through a process to get it in.
Yeah, so it's been quite a process. As you saw, the first like clip, it showed us failing, like we kind of pushed the gear away. But then the next couple clips, we've kind of figured out how to drive up to it, and it just sucks it right in. And so basically, we also tested a lot of different wheels and rollers to put on it. And we figured out that the black, like, I don't know what you call it, but it's like the tube of sticky material, and that held the gear the best.
Yeah, like rubberized material.
Yeah. It gets sticky.
Yeah, and
it's very good.
We wanted to put it on Party Stalker because we wanted to see if it was possible to drive up and pick up a gear in that little of a like space.
Yep.
And just to see if it would hold it with the geometry that we decided on.
And what were your results? You think it's good?
Very good. It was inconsistent because it was made out of wood and the polycarb was bent, but besides that, it was very good results that we are hopefully going to use on our robot.
Cool. So kind of talking about that, you're not going to make your real robot out of wood. And as a second-year team, I know that you're trying really hard to make your whole thing look good. What kind of swag are you guys doing to make sure your robot looks like it's made by pros?
Well, so last year with Sub-Zero, we had the red brackets, and they were just spray painted multiple times, and we put them on there. And I'm happy to announce that those will be making return. And so that's just something that kind of adds a little flair to it. And another thing we do is we use a disc sander, a handheld disc sander, to sand down the pieces, the Vex Pro VersaFrame that we use. And it kind of gives it this nice sheen. It's kind of shiny. And
Sparkly.
it sparkles, and it makes it look a lot nicer. It doesn't have a lot of scratches and stuff in it.
Yeah, something that we always say is that there's nothing that goes on the robot that shouldn't be there. Like everything should have a purpose and should look like it has a purpose.
It's always good when it looks like it's supposed to be there, not sort of like, oh, I gotta put this on. So cool.
Yeah.
Duct tape.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna take one question from the Twitch chat before we go to the animation and talk about that really quick. So let's, again, if you have a question for us, just type !Q in the chat and we'll get it into our system. This question comes in. What do you guys think your biggest technical challenge so far this year has been? Especially because you guys are a second-year team.
Biggest technical challenge, I mean, we don't have a lot of the resources. Still, I mean, we have a lot of great sponsors that can cut parts for us, but we still don't have, in-house CNC or, any mill. And that's been kind of a challenge, having to kind of wait for parts to come in. And I mean, they've been doing a very good job of getting them, quick, but there's only so fast you can go. So that's a challenge we run into.
Another thing is,
Go ahead, Jamie.
So I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had about half of our school was sick. And so like we only had 3 or 4 students at a couple of the meetings, and so that was really hard. And then the next week was finals week, so students were taking time to study for finals, and so student attendance was definitely an issue for us.
Well, I'm glad you guys are behind that, hopefully. So that's good. So let's talk a little bit about the animation here. So I know that you've been working on it. Why don't you tell us? We'll show it here as we sort of end your segment here. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the animation award this year and what you've been up to and how you've exactly done it?
Yeah. So I was told that the animation award came back this year by one of the mentors, and I was pretty happy about that. since I have been doing 3D animation for a while and 3D modeling. And so I started back when it was first announced, which was in probably, I don't know, last year sometime. And I started on it and I started working a lot. And I've been using the robotics practice or the robotics meets to kind of keep working on it. It's just been a lot of grinding on it. A lot of work, just meticulously kind of modeling each part and then texturing it. And I tried to use as much stuff that was original as possible. So a lot of the textures I took myself. But I mean, it's been a challenge to complete it, definitely. But the biggest part was probably staying motivated and keeping going like every week on this thing.
So a lot of that stuff in the, you'll see the animation in a second. A lot of the stuff in the animation looks like it's new. It's definitely like the balls are definitely a recent part. How much of the animation do you think you've actually done in the last like 3.5 weeks?
Probably the majority. I had created stuff like the main subject and probably the starting scene. And then as it developed, really the first shot where the lights are off, that's the part that I had before build season started. And then at kickoff, I saw the balls and I started just working on the whole shot. Yeah, you'll see it, but
Yep.
yeah, I did not have much done before it, but I had my ideas laid out and I had a script and I kind of went off that. So.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I'm definitely going to say we're going to show it as we sort of go out. But what you're saying definitely shows true. It's got a very great script. It's very well voiced. It's very tight. It's very dynamic. Not a lot of like moving to different scenes, but everything has got something going on in it. So it's always very compositionally great. And also it looks wicked good. So well done with the animation there. I'm very, very impressed with it. We're going to show it here. Do you think this is going to end up on YouTube in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, it should end up on YouTube pretty soon.
Cool. So we'll also link to the YouTube video of it here. If you're watching not live, we'll link to the YouTube video so everybody can take a look at it after the fact as well. But we're going to say goodnight to you guys, and we're going to outro with your animation. Up next, for real this time, is Team 148, the Robo Wranglers. They're from Greenville, Texas. But for now, goodbye, Apex, and let's take a look at Apex's submission for the Animation Award this year. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Steam. Steam is all around us. It powers turbines, cooks food, and hangs over humanity's greatest fuel, coffee. But steam is so much more than excited wonder molecules. STEAM, short for science, technology, engineering, art, and math, can also be produced by excited students. Students excited to be participating in a program that can help shape their future and sharpen their skills. These students will become scientists, architects, engineers, teachers. They will become the backbone of the next generation. This is why FIRST isn't about robots or trophies. FIRST is about so much more than that. Through STEAM, FIRST seeks to enable students to win their own battles, grasp their highest potential, and reach the apex of what they can truly become.